Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite summer fragrances for men. It's a list that's a mix of niche and designer fragrances, and the way I went about making this list is it had to be a gorgeous fragrance from top to bottom. It had to be something that isn't cloying in the summer, because I think summer especially is when you are out and about and someone doesn't smell good. Either their fragrance isn't right for the season, because fragrances that work in cold weather really don't work in hot weather sometimes. They become too sweet or too strong. On the other hand, sometimes because your body temperature is lifting, they evaporate faster. And kind of in that line, another criteria was they had to last in strong, hot weather. And so in 2020 and part of 2019, I was living in Singapore, which year-round, it's hot, it's humid, you're always sweating, and it's really hard to find fragrances that have good longevity in weather like that. And so with my summer picks, whether you live in a hot climate or your summers are hot, these are going to get you at least 4 to 6 hours of wear. You're going to be able to smell yourself and enjoy your fragrance at the same time. These are going to be appropriate summer fragrances, so they're not going to drown the people around you. So number 5 on my list is Aqua Allegoria by Guerlain, and it's the Mandarin Basilic. And this fragrance is first and foremost a mandarin. It's a big, juicy mandarin, and then you have the basil kind of underneath the whole time. You can definitely pick up the basil and something herbal, but I don't think you're gonna smell like a kitchen or like a tomato basil burrata dish. The basil really blends in beautifully with that primary mandarin. And what I like about this fragrance is it's really bright and zesty at the top, but I think it is that basil that gives it the longevity as well, because again, these citrus notes, it's really hard to get them to last long in a formula, and so they usually need something woody or something herbal to temper them to give them the longevity that's needed. Also guys, if fragrances, summer fragrances, niche is a topic that you're interested in, please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So number 4 on my list is Dior Sport. If you've seen my videos with Sebastian on his channel, you'll know I'm a huge fan of the entire Dior range, and Dior Sport is no exception. I think the classic Dior could also work in summer, but when you start getting into the more intense or parfum versions, they do get quite strong, and I think they're really teetering on the line depending on what your skin pulls from it. If you're pulling more of the iris, you should be okay, but if you're getting those warm amber woods, it might not be the most appropriate scent for summer. Dior Sport is kind of in a class of its own. It really doesn't smell like the other Dior range. It's much more of a sporty fragrance, a cooling fragrance, citruses, aquatic notes, drier woods, but light woods, not so much of the heavy ambered woods in the original Dior range. Then Dior Sport is such a great fragrance. Again, you're getting the same great longevity you're getting from Dior, even though it's a different fragrance. And something about this house, like they know how to construct a really good fragrances. In their exclusive line, it's a bit hit or miss, but whenever they come out with pillars for their main brand, I find they always have really, really good performance. Again, Dior Sport is no exception, and it smells really good. As a girl, I really love this fragrance on men. So in addition to just being a good fragrance for summer, it's also super attractive. Number 3 on my list is 5 biphasic fragrances, which are done by Bruno Fazilari. Bruno Fazilari is first and foremost an incredible artist, and his perfumes are an extension of that art. When I look at niche fragrance brands, of course they all have their own different flavor, but there's something that really resonates with me about Bruno Fazilari's fragrance line. I feel like it's really avant-garde, it's really interesting, the concepts and also the fragrances. I wouldn't say that there is a boring fragrance within Bruno Fazilari's line. However, if you are starting to get into more interesting fragrances, more niche, if you've kind of been more into designer before, I really recommend 5 by Fazilari. I don't know if it's pronounced Fazilari or Fazilari, and I'm sorry about that. but it is a great line. And so what I love about 5 is it takes that typical cologne structure and it really adds like fluorescent lights on it. It makes it super bright and super interesting, really good projection, really good, how do I explain it? A really good aura. You know, you're gonna get smelled. I feel like that's something I mentioned in my Sexiest Men video fragrances, but it's really important, to me at least, that people can smell my fragrance and that people can smell me and that, you know, they get a chance to experience my fragrance. I hope, you know, I'm not being overbearing on them, but I like when people smell my fragrance and I feel like people enjoy smelling my fragrance, and that's how you kind of develop a signature. And I also feel like 5 by Bruno Fazilari would be a great signature summer scent. There's loads of different citruses on there on top of that typical cologne structure to give it a lot of brightness and really kind of entice the people around you to smell you, because again, on a hot summer day you want a splash, you want something refreshing, and 5 really gives that to you. It's also super likable. When I worked at Tiger Lily Perfumery, it was a really good seller, again because it's a great balance between a scent that you're used to with a niche twist. My next fragrance selection for summer is Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino, and of course this is such a classic fragrance for summer. I'm sure many of you have heard of this fragrance, and I think it's popular for a good reason. Of course we have neroli, which is in the name, but it's a neroli and you kind of get all the stages of the orange. You don't get the orange flower, but you do get the petitgrain, you get the orange fruit, you get kind of an aquatic freshness, and you get really good longevity and projection from it. And I think that's also why it's so popular, because it's kind of hard to find fragrances like this that are fresh and have longevity. And Tom Ford is also a brand that does really interesting fragrances, and a lot of them tend to get really good longevity. This is also a super easy wear. It's super unisex if you want a fragrance to share with your partner. It's one of those where you kind of just can splash it on and go. You don't have to think about it. It's also really good for the office, so I think it's also a great office fragrance for summer. And my favorite men's fragrance this summer is actually unisex, but I still find it very masculine, and that is Aqua Celestia Cologne Fort by Maison Francis Kirk de Jean. I recently smelled the entire Maison Francis Kirk de Jean line again this week just to refamiliarize myself with it. And really it's an incredible fragrance house, and I was looking for summer fragrances, and this fragrance really stood out for me as an incredible unisex fragrance, but it is slightly masculine leaning. However, I can still see myself wearing it, and I probably will be getting a bottle very soon. What I love about this fragrance is it is a burst, and the way the sales associate was explaining it to me was the idea behind this fragrance was supposed to be, you know, a burst of freshness, a burst of brightness, the idea of jumping into the sea and then emerging into the sunshine, and you really get that impression from this fragrance. It is absolutely refreshing, it is interesting, you have notes of cassis, which is blackcurrant, and bergamot, so you already have like this fruity citrus top, right? And then it's tempered by some jasmine florals, but you know, you're kind of getting it all at once, and then this really nice musk. But this isn't like the animalic musks we see in winter. This is kind of like that fresher, cleaner white musk. I don't think it verges into laundry territory, but it is really clean, like a fresh seaside breeze. It's really lovely, and the longevity is great. What they were really trying to do with this Cologne Fort line is to give you the freshness of the cologne, but with really, really good longevity. One spray, I probably get 4 hours, but if I do 2 sprays, I get it to last all day on me. And so that's always really lovely. The bottles are beautiful. For this line, they released these Cologne Fortes for their whole Aqua line, Aqua Universalis, Aqua Vitae, and this one, Aqua Celestia. And this one comes in a blue bottle, and it's really, really beautiful. I know Aqua Universalis is really, really loved within the fragrance community. I love it as well, but I do find it to be a bit more formal, a bit more buttoned up, a bit more of a classic cologne, and so for me, I really gravitated towards the Aqua Celestia just because I found it a bit more different and for me more addictive. There's something about that musk base. It's not as herbal. That fruity facet, the fruity facet always gets to me, just like the pineapple note in Aventus Creed. So this cassis black currant mixed with the bergamot I really love, and it's such a great blast from top to bottom. You have this addictive quality from the fruity at the top, you know, and then it kind of gets, what's a good word, tempered by the jasmine so that it's not too overwhelming, and then finishing with those white musks. It's just perfection. It's such a great fragrance. So I hope you guys get a chance to smell that one. What are your favorite fragrances for summer? I especially want to know, like, do you have summer fragrances that you get great wear out of that are still really fresh? I really feel that that is my struggle. That's what I struggle to find. So let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. Please remember to like this video, to subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on summer fragrances. I hope you all have great days. Bye guys.